Welcome back, everyone, to Double Take, an NFL podcast streaming everywhere you get podcasts and also on YouTube. I'm your host, David Gonzalez, and I'm joined by my twin brother, Daniel. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Probably not. Well, actually, probably better than you are right now.
Actually, no. I would
No?
doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Okay.
We're just going to go ahead and get into it. As you can tell,
Yeah.
this is Cowboys Talk segment on our show. We got to talk about it. Week 3, the Cowboys fall to 2-1 as they lose to the Arizona Cardinals 16-28. Couple of details you need to know. Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, and Tyler Biadasz did not play. So playing on the offensive line were two rookies who had never played a down in the NFL. But I think the biggest story is that the defense gave up 228 yards rushing and had no turnovers. And then same different week, same story for the offense in terms of the red zone. They were failing in the red zone again. Dak Prescott, 25 for 40, 249 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, his first interception coming in the red zone at the end of the game, down by 12. Tony Pollard had 23 carries, 122 yards, but did not have a touchdown. So, Daniel, we've had some time because we didn't record on Wednesday. What are your thoughts about it? I guess the first question is, who's to blame for this loss?
I did a split. So I did a split percentage. And so what I have for it is 40% on the offense, 60% for the defense. And I could even go to 30% offense, 70% defense. The offense, I'm going to address the offense first.
Go ahead.
I understand that there's 3 linemen out, but the two rookies played pretty well.
No, they did not. They did not. But keep going.
Well, here's why.
Yeah.
Here's why. They still ran the ball really well. Tony Pollard had over 100 yards. That's got to be pretty good. Dak was still able to be 25 for 40. The thing about Dak is he's getting the ball out. So you don't need them to be like Zach Martin or Tyron Smith, who at the time where they got hurt, I know it's only 2 games, but Tyron Smith was still looking like one of the best left tackles in football. And so was that, and Zach Martin was Zach Martin. And so based on how this team plays now and how good they were at running the football, I say they did pretty well. Now, I know everyone wants to get on Dak Prescott for that last interception. This is how I see it. Yes, was it a terrible interception? Yes, it was. Because I don't know what – I know he probably didn't see that linebacker in the middle of the field just waiting for it. He saw the whoever was covering him kind of trailing and then maybe a safety kind of in the rightish area, and he wanted to fit that ball in. Well, he didn't see the linebacker just sitting right there. So that's one thing. Also, here's the thing. Had they scored on that, do you really think the defense allows them to get the ball back with 3 minutes left? I do not. And we've talked about this last week. I brought it up as, hey, this may be a point of concern, and you dismissed it. The red zone is an issue. It's an issue. Last year with Kellen Moore, we were really good in the red zone last year. And could that have to do with Zeke? Well, I don't know. We'll leave that for another discussion. But it's been bad.
It has been.
What was it? What were they, like 2 for 6 against the Jets, and then 1 for 5 on Sunday?
This past week, yeah.
That's not going to help you win games, and it helps to maybe alleviate the pressure off the defense. And to be honest, had we converted on those red zones, we win this game. Maybe. But here's where the bulk of the line share falls on this defense. And I knew this was going to happen as soon as it happened. I don't know if we recorded with Trayvon Diggs
I
got
don't
hurt.
think we no.
I don't think we
Mm-mm.
did.
Mm-mm.
Probably why we probably need to do 2 shows a week.
Yeah.
But I knew people were going to start creating excuses for this defense and for this team. And here's where I'm not going to let people off the hook, and I'm not going to let people get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
When people were talking about the defense to start the year, about, hey, how important is this defense? I never heard the name Trayvon Diggs. Maybe as like a little caveat of like, oh, we have Trayvon and Stephon Gilmore as our corner, so we're great. All I heard was we're going to go as far as Micah Parsons takes us. That's what I heard. Micah Parsons was the only superstar on this defense. And so when he got hurt, people were saying, "Oh, well, it's gonna be a little difficult." He is not. I love Trevon Diggs. I love him. I think he took a step this year in the 2 games
Mm-hmm.
that he played. I believe that. But is he a piece that when you lose him, you say, our championship hopes are dashed? No, he's not. And I know if we don't win this season, they're going to use that as an excuse. And I'm not going to let people do it, because you never put Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons in the same sentence before. It was always Micah Parsons in the defense. It wasn't Micah and Trayvon in the defense. So I'm not going to let them get away with it. And this run defense got exposed.
Mm-hmm.
It got exposed. And it just seemed like throughout the game, like they could do whatever they wanted. Arizona could do whatever they wanted. And it
Mm-hmm.
was not just in the run game. It was also in the pass game. And they picked on Bland early. They said, hey, we're going to go right after him. And he got a pass interference call, and they were just targeting him throughout the game. And so when you come out and you say this defense is going to be historic, that looks historic. That looks historic. Historically bad is what it looks like. As in, every year that Dan Quinn has been the defensive coordinator, our run defense has gotten worse and worse. Just look at the numbers. Numbers suggest that this run defense gets worse every year. And it looks like we're getting into that pattern again. How do you expect to beat a Miami, a San Francisco, if they can run all over you? Doesn't look like anything's changed in the run defense. So that's my concerns for this team. I think that they've been exposed as a defense. Offensively, can I be honest? I'm not that concerned. I'm not that concerned. I know people want to put this blame, and people have put this game on Dak.
Yep.
And people know when I talk about Dak Prescott, I keep it 100% real.
He does.
If
He does.
if,
I can vouch for that.
if you watch this game and you believe that Dak Prescott is the reason why he lost this game, you didn't watch it. You didn't watch it. It was evident from the start of the game the defense was going to let Arizona do whatever they want. Had Dak not thrown in that interception and thrown a touchdown instead, they still would have been down a score with 3 minutes left, and that defense wouldn't make a stop. Where the offense struggled and where it's partially they fought throughout the game, they couldn't get it done in the red zone.
Mm.
And so that's my kind of feelings for the game. I think the way Dak Prescott is playing, they're getting down there. They're getting to the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Now all it is let's figure out how we can get in there. But
Yep.
if teams can run all over this defense, it's going to be an issue for the rest of the year. Because don't think that Bill Belichick, Kyle Shanahan, all these teams that can run the Philadelphia, who can run the football if need be, don't think that they're not going to take advantage of that. This defense has to figure it out how to stop the run, and they've yet to do that.
So there's a lot of things I disagree with you on. I mean, I'm going to work backwards. So obviously, yeah, the two rookie offensive line cost us also some of these. You said they played well. 71, who was playing left tackle, had 3 holding calls in the football game. Like, he was a liability offensively.
Well, I meant Tyler Smith and Bass.
No,
I know the left tackle is
garbage. He's
problematic.
garbage.
Yeah.
And then Bass also had 1 penalty as well.
Yeah, but
Tyler
his
Smith,
first start, that's pretty good.
whatever. It doesn't matter. They were good in the ground game, but they still cost us points in this game, especially the left tackle, because his penalties came especially in the red zone after good plays that we probably hindered us also from scoring touchdowns. Um, I'm not worried about, like you said, I'm not worried about the offense. Or I guess my only concern is injuries on this offensive line. I think you and Dad talked about this in the off season. Of the biggest concern offensively is depth on the offensive line, because Tyrone Smith is getting hurt again. Zach Martin is getting hurt. Biotish, who I think has elevated his play every single year, is he Travis Frederick? No,
No.
but is he serviceable? Is he good? At the very least, he's not a liability. When we're talking about a healthy offensive line that has Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, Biotish, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele, like that's a great offensive line. And you're going to win a lot of games and not have penalties be called on you. So in terms of the red zone, I think that we got really conservative in the red zone. And I thought that the reason why we were conservative was because we didn't want to blow big leads. No, I mean, here's what I think is a legitimate statement, an opinion. If you look at New York, and then you also look at this past game against Arizona, the idea that Mike McCarthy doesn't trust Dak to throw the ball in the red zone seems like a legitimate, opinion, because you haven't asked Dak to do a lot in the red zone, and maybe you need to. And I know that people don't want Dak running with the ball because they don't want him to get hurt, but he can use his legs, and I think that he uses it so sparingly that you put him in a position to where he's not gonna have a lot of chances to get hurt if you use him well. And so I think that, and they even talked about it. Mike talked about it. Dak talked about it. He said, "Yeah, I think there's just sometimes I just need to run it more. Like I have opportunities to run, but I don't. But I need to." And there was a couple of plays this past week in Arizona to where Dak literally 3rd and long, 3rd and 7, just takes off and starts running the ball, gets us the first down. And especially, I mean, the story from this past week for me in terms of Dak Prescott is this was a very Tony Romo kind of game. And what I mean by that is Dak seemed to be the only one offensively who showed up in terms of like making the plays needed to continue drives. Tony Pollard, yes, he had 122 yards rushing on 23 carries, but he would get most of his yards on first down. 3rd down crunch time disappeared. CeeDee Lamb only had 4 catches on the day. I think the person who came out and established themselves and says, "Hey, I'm back," was Michael Gallup, because he was really, really good.
Yeah,
Came
he
in
played
clutch a
really,
lot.
really well.
And Dak was feeding him the ball. And I 100% agree with what you said about Dak. Even if he scored there, the defense wouldn't have stopped him.
There's just no way. Just no way they would have won.
because all
I'm sorry.
Arizona did on the next drive was run the ball down their throats.
Yep.
So, and I mean, the game was pretty much over for me. And like I kept watching, but I knew that the game was over when Mike McCarthy went for it on fourth down instead of taking
Yes.
the points.
Yes. Yes.
That like you're struggling in the red zone. You can't punch it in. Take the points. It's okay to take the points in that situation. I know we say down the line we're going to need touchdowns, but you rather take 3 points than no points on fourth down.
It just kills morale. It just puts your defense back
Yes.
out there like, man, we didn't score, and they just proceed to take it down the field and score.
And so momentum's lost in those moments. And so I think Mike McCarthy deserves some of the blame as well for, I mean, how this team looked and how they executed offensively. I mean, you're the play caller now. Like this is why you wanted the play sheet. That's why you got rid of Kellen Moore, because you believed, and as I believed as well, that Kellen Moore held us back in a lot of these games. You got to step up. And he didn't do that. Defensively, you're absolutely right in terms of how they played that Sunday. But here's what I'm going to say. And you're going to hate this. Cowboys fans are going to hate this. So you say that the run defense has always been a problem and has always gotten worse in like with under Dan Quinn. How many points did the 49ers score in the divisional round?
19.
How well did Christian McCaffrey run the ball, excluding the fourth quarter when the defense was already gassed?
Not sure. How much?
He didn't run well. He didn't run well. I mean, he didn't. We also beat Philadelphia, and in the game that we lost to Philadelphia, we came back and they were okay. And we know Philadelphia is just okay right now. Well, here's what I'm saying. I think that, yeah, is the run defense the weakest part of our defense? Absolutely. But then there's also times to where they've stepped up and they've played well and they've held teams in check. So is it a concern? Yes, absolutely. Do I think now that every single team is going to run it down our throats? No, I don't. The only team that I think will and is going to be the scariest matchup for us on our schedule is Miami. Because Miami, they don't just run it well, they disguise well. And it's the best. I said it last week, you said it last week. A friend of the show, Carter, I don't want to misquote him, so I'm going to check my text real quick because he was listening to our episode. So shout out to Carter. I'm looking at what he said about Miami. Let me see. But I think what he said was Buffalo's still the best team in the AFC before week 3 started. And I said,
we're about to find out.
We are going to find out this week, but I think last week was just, it was a killer. He said, I take Miami in the 3 hole. Like they're the third best team in the AFC. They're the best team in the AFC. The way that team operates is crazy. But so that's the only team I'm scared about. I'm not scared of San Francisco and necessarily in their ground game because I know that we can shut them down because we've done it before. Now, is that always a guarantee every single week? No, it's not. But I know that it's possible. I know that we can because we've done it. Now, the question is, which kind of defense is going to step up? And to me, this is the narrative of the season. Like Dan Quinn, I think the Cowboys as a whole, they have to look at, this is why I'm glad they lost. I'm glad they lost because they lost to a team like Arizona. And this defines what kind of team we have. They're going to look at this game and they're going to say, you know what? This is never going to happen to us again. They're never running the ball on us like this again. That's my hope. That's my hope.
Here's my issue. This is why I hate what you said, and this is why you thought Cowboys fans would hate what you said. This is what I have a problem with some people do. They always take the past to determine the future, except for the now. Yes, teams in the past have not had as much success as we thought
Mm-hmm.
that they would. It's a
Mm-hmm.
brand new year. New things can happen. They could always get worse. And I guess that's the pessimistic part of me as a
Very much
Cowboys
so,
fan.
because you look at the last 2 weeks against Brees Hall, Dalvin Cook. How did they do against this Cowboys defense running the football?
They
Saquon
they
Barkley, who
barely
runs
gave the
who
ball.
runs
They
all
barely
over
committed
people.
to it. They didn't commit to the run. Had they
It
stuck it out, maybe they would have had success. I don't know. But here's
really
what I
because New York, they were running the ball down the Cowboys' throats in that first opening drive, and then every time that they try to go back to the ground game, the Cowboys shut them down.
well, the next time they blinked, they were down 14 points, so we don't know. Like they
I don't.
didn't commit to the run
They
because they were
they
getting
did.
as soon as
Week
that
one they
first
did.
drive
Week one they
ended,
did.
as soon as that first drive ended, the game was over for them. And so and what I'm noticing, and we'll talk about Philly in a moment,
Mm-hmm.
they don't look the same.
They don't.
We both know that,
Mm-hmm.
but they can still run the ball. And Swift has kind of been a breakout for them in the past
Which
few
for
weeks.
fantasy has been fantastic for me. I'm so glad. I'm
Right.
hoping for fantasy reasons. I hope he continues to be the starter.
Yeah, and so but that's all I say. I would caution against, and I'm gonna be cautious too about getting down. I think this is why this works so well between you and I. I'm the pessimistic, you're the optimist.
Yeah.
And so for my sake, I hope you're right that this is just a blip, an anomaly, and not a trend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I think that's the hope. The hope is that it is. I think that if this happens against New England, then you're right. And then I'll probably lean more towards your way. But I'm saying just for this week alone, I'm still going to remain optimistic about this defense. I'm hoping that they come out next week and they just put their foot to the throat of New England, because they've got some great running backs too. I mean, they got Stevenson and they got Ezekiel Elliott coming back. So I guess here's kind of the way that we'll end this kind of Cowboy segment. Where are you with the Cowboys in terms of this season? Are you done with them? Do you think that they're too exposed now to actually be? I mean, we always talk about, they're Super Bowl contenders, NFC championship contenders, playoff contenders. We know this team's going to make it to the playoffs. We know that. But do you believe after this game, is it time to hit the panic button on Dallas?
I think they're a one and done team. And I've been saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So my opinion hasn't really changed. If anything, it's more solidified it. That
So, but let me ask you this, just
yeah,
to kind of clarify. Before the season, what would you say the reason would be that they were one and done?
Dak.
So what is your reasoning now? Is it still Dak or has that changed?
No, that has changed. Now it's Mike McCarthy in the run defense.
Hmm.
Because we need to get in a segment into a full analysis, because I feel like people aren't watching the games.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And has he played like Joe Burrow, or well, Joe Burrow hasn't even played like Joe Burrow. Who's playing the best as a quarterback right now?
Tua. Tua.
Tua. Is he Tua? No, he's not. But here's the thing though. People have been saying, "Hey, you don't need to be. Just take care of the football."
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the first 3 weeks, he only has one turnover.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's a throwaway turnover. You know what I mean? It's kind of like one of those things where like it's a Hail Mary and it gets picked off type thing. For
Mm-hmm.
me,
The game was already over. The game
based
was
on the
already
time
over.
of the game, how the defense was playing at the time, it was over. It had been over. And so for me, that's so I feel like he's taking care of the football. Is he throwing it more short than long these days? Sure.
But he had a couple of throws that he threw out there.
Yeah. And
Couple of
and
them.
he needs to have some throws where it's been beyond 10, 20 yards. Like, yeah, he has. So he's not just relying on that.
And
But
he's
he's
also making play with his legs as well
yeah, and he did that way I've seen him do it way more this year than he's done the past
in the
maybe 2
last 2
years.
combined, yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, I feel like he's doing enough in terms of like because here's what I'll tell you. Like we talk about, what was the issue with Kellen Moore?
Mhm.
Yes, his red zones, like his red when they got in the red zone, they were able to do it was great.
It was
Here's the thing.
efficient, yeah.
Here's the thing though. How many times did they actually get there last year?
Not this amount of
You know what?
times.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right now, I feel like every drive they
We're
get into
getting
the
in the
red
red
zone.
zone. Mhm.
Last year, how many times did we say another 3 and out, another
Yeah.
3 and out,
Mhm.
another 3 and out? So yeah, he was great in the red zone, but they wouldn't get there very often, I feel like.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just remember so many times us getting 3 and outs and 3 and outs and 3 and outs. This year, maybe not as much as I remember last year.
Mhm.
And so I think that's what's been great. Like he's been taking care of the ball. He's been picking up third downs with his legs, but also with his arm. He's
Mhm.
been doing that quite well. And so I don't think he's been as much as the issue this year as Mike McCarthy has down in the red zone. If they could figure that out, man, no one's going to be complaining about Dak Prescott because he's taking care of the football. He's making good decisions. Just got to get in that end zone.
Mhm.
So how I thought this season would go has changed. The result, no, it's actually confirmed what I thought would happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I'm still optimistic. I think Dak has played well. I'm not going to say great. I'm not going to say elite. He's played well. I think he's playing better this season than he was last year. Um, if Mike McCarthy can figure out how to score in the red zone as well as he's getting to the red zone, I think this offense can be just as dangerous, efficient, effective. Um, and defense just needs to shore up the run defense. That's all they need to do. Um, but we'll see. I'm still optimistic. I still have the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. I'm not backing off of that quite yet. I still believe. Um, here we go. So that's going to do it for our segment here, talking about the Cowboys. And so now we're going to move on to news in the NFL. Daniel, what is probably the biggest story for you coming out of week 3?
It's a good question. I think probably what everyone would love us to talk about is Miami
Mm-hmm.
putting up 70 points against Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why it's so shocking is because we believed that all Denver needed was a competent quarterback, better quarterback play
Right.
for this season. And to be fair, like Russell hasn't played all that bad.
He's not as bad as he was last year.
Exactly. Like he's gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they let off 70 points,
Mm-hmm.
that's what was most shocking to me because we all thought they were a pretty good defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of like looking. Oh, here's one that we probably need to talk about. Houston routing Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was a big shock because I think we all kind of believed, hey, like Jacksonville, they're getting ready to take a step,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did feel that way.
and so that for me that was a shocker just because I believe that Trevor Lawrence was going to take a step, but what it actually looks like is we may need to reevaluate him on where he is in our top 10 list,
Mm.
maybe.
Why do you say that? Because I'm yeah. Why do you say that?
I mean, for me,
That I mean,
it's
because that to me that's a shock considering how big of a Trevor Lawrence fan you are.
right. I just think like with teams like that, like if you're gonna be one of the best quarterbacks in football, you're gonna expect some opposition. In terms of like if CJ Stroud is going out his mind, which he has been, I've
I
been
was going to talk about him here in a second.
I've been pleasantly surprised on how he's looked. Anthony Richardson, pleasantly surprised. I thought those two were going to be busts,
hmm
but they're actually turned out to be pretty good quarterbacks in year one. And then Trevor last week was kind of pedestrian against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Well,
And
I think here's where I'm going to defend Trevor against at least Kansas City at the
yeah,
very least. Is if receivers could keep their feet in the end zone, he would have
yeah.
had 2 touchdowns in the red zone.
Here's what I think: the way Trevor throws the ball, he puts passes where you're just like, man, he fit that in there. I don't know
Mhm.
how. And it's hard to keep your feet in,
Mhm.
when you're getting it, where you're not expecting it. But I don't know. That's just for me. That's a passing thought of like, if this continues, where he had two opportunities to make a statement in terms of like, hey, I'm here. I'm a
Mhm.
top 10 quarterback. And for whatever reason, it's he's not doing that. Which like it's early. I'm hoping that Jacksonville turns it around because like losing to Houston,
Mhm.
that's a big hit. For me, that would be a big hit to my morale.
Mhm.
But that's just me. But for me, mostly it is Miami putting up 70 points, and it just looks like they're going to be unstoppable this year.
Mhm. Yeah, I think for CJ Stroud, these are his numbers. First, I'm going to give some context. These are his numbers in college. In 2021, he threw 44 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Last year, he threw 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So 85 touchdowns and 12 interceptions in college. And his completion percentage overall was 69.3%. Played outstanding against Georgia in the Peach Bowl semifinal, where he threw for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns and lost by 1 point, 42-41. Comes into the NFL, and after 3 games, he's 1-2, but he's completing 64.5%, has 906 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He has surprised me. Now he's fumbled the ball twice
Mhm.
and lost them, so he has turned the ball over. But you expect that from a rookie.
Yeah.
Man, he's a stud. I love what I'm seeing from CJ Stroud, especially when we're talking about like Ohio State quarterbacks being busts for the
Yeah.
majority.
Justin
Like
Fields.
the fact that he's playing so well right now is a good sign. When it comes to Trevor Lawrence, again, I'm not the biggest fan in the world. He's thrown only 3 touchdowns in 3 games. He has 2 interceptions plus lost a fumble. So he's not playing overwhelmingly great. Um, like you said, though, I'm kind of at a point to where I'm going to hold off on. I think that if there's anybody who's maybe a subject to come down on our list, it has to probably be Jalen Hurts because he has really struggled this season. That's kind of where I want to take this conversation. Um, he threw 6 interceptions total last year. He has 3 already. He threw 2 against Tampa Bay. That's where there's some concern. Again, not in the ground game because the ground game is doing well still. Um, but Philadelphia to me is an area of concern. And I shouldn't be talking. I know I shouldn't be talking because the Cowboys are the one who lost this week.
Yeah.
The Eagles are 3-0. Okay. But when we're talking about, dominance from the year before to like this year, what we're seeing from them,
It looks
I
different this
still
year.
I still have the Cowboys over the Eagles. I still do, because I still like the Cowboys defense more than Philadelphia's. And I love the way that our offense is playing, even if our red zone isn't there yet. I think overall, long term, our team is just better. Because yes, the Cowboys gave 26 points, but we didn't give up 30 plus like the Eagles did to Minnesota. Or I think it was like 28. So maybe I'm wrong in saying that. But still, like their concerns on defense are greater than our concerns on defense. And I think that once we figure out the red zone, we'll be fine offensively. But Philly, to me, was a big, or Jalen Hurts was a big story this week, just because of turning the football over. It's coming with more regularity with him, and albeit 3 weeks, but it is an area of concern, for me, which is why I still think the 49ers are still the best team in the NFC, and at least the number 2 team in the NFL behind Miami, because they're still scary. I mean, did Brock Purdy in that Thursday night game, did he play perfect? No. Were there some plays that I wish that Dak Prescott would be lucky enough to have? I mean, how many tips passes can you have that are still completed? He had 2 that, with Dak's luck, would have been intercepted. And so, our offensive, but Christian McCaffrey, they haven't lost a game since he's joined the 49ers, and that they've had a quarterback.
Yeah.
So they're a scary team, just all together. And I'm excited. I'm still excited for that Week 5 matchup. I'm still excited for it. But I am less confident now than I was a week ago, for sure. But any other big things that you want to talk about for this week?
I think you kind of hit everything.
Okay, so we are going to conclude the show with our obvious pick'ems for Week 3. I'm going to be fair here, and I'll explain what I mean. I'm just going to give us a recap of how we did this past week. We did not do great. We struggled for sure. I finished Week 3 7-9. Daniel finished 8-8. That Chargers Vikings game was huge. I should have seen it coming. There's only one team who would blow a game like that against that's not the Los Angeles Chargers, and it was the Minnesota Vikings. So I was really upset about that. But overall, I'm still 31 of 17 for the year. Daniel is 29-19 for the year. So I only have 2 games up on Daniel. So this is going to be a great week. Hopefully, we got a lot of great games this week. So let's go ahead and let's run through them here real quick. This is where I said I'm going to be fair. Last night was the Lions versus Green Bay. Obviously, we didn't pick them. We didn't do anything. However, before the game started, I was going to go Green Bay.
I was going to also. I'm also going to be fair.
So let's just go ahead and say that we already start 0-1. Man, but I will say this. This is the only thing we could talk about that game, unless there's more you want to say. Detroit's legit. They're great. My opinion towards Jared Goff could be shifting, maybe, because it looks like for the first time in his career, he's actually going to put up 2 straight years of great quarterback play. They're starting 3-1, so that's a pretty good start. I said that I had to see it, and I'm starting to see it, so that's a great sign. But more importantly, I love what I'm seeing from Jordan Love. I love what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think you're encouraged if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, because Jordan had every opportunity in that game to just lie down and give up.
Mm-hmm.
And he came out in the second half and said, "No, I'm not done. I'm going to go drive it down your throats. We're going to put this offense together, and he played really well in the second half.
If
And
Walker wouldn't have had that penalty, that completely shifted the momentum of the
yeah,
game.
like you jump over a guy when Pat, like you did it. You had a running start to do it,
Mhm,
and you wipe away the field goal and give him the opportunity to score a touchdown. Like
mhm,
that's one that took time off the clock,
mhm,
and then two, you instead of 3 points, it's a touchdown.
mhm.
And so yeah, that for them killed that game, and Jordan was on his way to. I don't know if they win it,
But at
but
least giving them a shot.
yeah, it gives him a shot,
Give it.
and he's done it. He's come back, and I believe that he's just
I
made
think
out
they
of the.
found their guy.
Yeah, I think he's made out of the right stuff. I think no matter what happens in the game, he's going to continue to fight and continue to play and play well
Mhm.
in a tough situation. So
I
if
think.
I'm a Green Bay fan, like you should be encouraged with that.
I mean, 2-2. It's not like you're 0-4. It's not like you're 1-3. You're 2-2. You're
I didn't.
500.
Did anyone really expect them to
I don't know.
be
I didn't have them as a playoff team anyway.
right? And so for me, they're surpassing my expectations. And you gotta expect a little bit of a rebuild
Mhm.
of some sort, not a total rebuild,
I
but
mean, you're
just
talking
like
about
shifting
losing.
expectations.
Yeah, I mean,
You
you're
know?
talking about losing Devontae Adams 2 years ago and then losing or last year and then losing Aaron Rodgers this year. Like, you don't have any all pros on your team at the quarterback or receiver position. I mean, it's gonna be challenging.
David Bakhtiari, it's consistently being injured the past couple of years. Like he doesn't have a
Mhm.
left tackle. Like so
Yeah,
they're doing well based on the circumstances.
yeah. Tom James, Mark Jones, two Packer fans I know. Be encouraged. Jordan, you guys, you have a franchise quarterback in my opinion. I think that he's proven
Yep.
he's proven that
Yeah.
because he's like Daniel said, he's made out of the right stuff. But so we're gonna both take a loss there. Um, Next game, Falcons versus the Jaguars. Daniel, who do you got?
I'm gonna go with my heart here. I'm gonna stick with Trevor for this game. It's in London. Falcons though, they're giving me a reason to take them just because they can run the ball. Their defense is pretty good. It's better than what it's been in past years.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I'm still gonna take Trevor. I just think he's still better, and I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right because if they lose this week, either we got to talk differently about Atlanta as a team, or we got to talk about Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
And so either way, I'm excited to watch this game
Mm-hmm.
Sunday morning. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna take Jacksonville.
yeah, I'm gonna go Jacksonville as well. I'm not a believer in Desmond Ritter. I just don't. As good as your ground game is, you still need a pass game, and I'm not. I trust Trevor more than I trust Desmond, and so to me, this is pretty easy. It should be. It should be Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville. But next game, Dolphins versus Buffalo. Josh Allen
Ooh.
versus Tua. I'm gonna go with Miami. I've been saying that Miami's the best team in the NFL right now, and I'm gonna keep saying it. You put 70 points on an NFL team. I don't care if it was Denver. I don't care if it's Chicago. That's an NFL team, and you score 70. And they probably could have scored more. They probably could have scored more. I think they should have scored more. This offense is just elite. They can't be touched. They can't be stopped. Buffalo has a good defense, but they don't have an elite defense. Josh Allen, he's played great the last 2 weeks, albeit against the Raiders and Washington. I
Yep.
mean, really nothing to sneeze at. But again, I don't know how good Miami's defense truly is. So I say this game's competitive, but I think Miami they win this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Everything that you said. I don't know what Buffalo is yet. I just don't know. And can Miami's defense kind of hold Josh Allen a little bit? We're about to find out, but I do know that Tyreek, Jalen, Mostert. I hope they have big games.
They
'Cause I have
can't
two of
touch
them.
him.
I have two of them on my fantasy.
Yeah. So you have Waddle and Tyreek and Tua.
No, so I have Mostert and Tyreek.
Oh, in your other league. I'm
My
talking
other,
about in our
I have
league.
no idea how I'm doing in our league. I don't know.
I think you barely lost your. No, I think you're 1-2 now. Your team would be destroying people if you actually tried in our league.
I may try. I don't know.
Goodness gracious. Anyway, um,
Where's my phone?
Minnesota versus Carolina.
Battle of the
Minnesota, I think they're gonna.
0-3s.
I,
You think
I
so?
I
You think
think
they'll
I think
finally get
Minnesota's
one?
gonna win it. I think they'll finally get one. I think they'll finally get one over. Bryce Young hasn't been great, but he hasn't been terrible.
Yeah.
But they don't have enough.
Yeah, I'm
So
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Minnesota too. I do
mhm,
think that Carolina on paper they have a better defense, but their offense is just not
mhm,
enough.
right.
And I kind of regret now letting go of Kirk Cousins from my team because he's
He's
been the
playing
second best quarterback in fantasy right now.
right. Yeah.
But anyway, all that to say is if Minnesota loses this game, if I'm another team and you need a quarterback,
Hmm.
see if they'll take Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Absolutely.
it looks like they might be looking to blow this up if they continue losing and just go for Caleb Williams.
It could be because of watching quarterback on Netflix.
Yeah.
I like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
does
he's
he
always been a
disappear in some moments? Yeah,
sure. I
but it
just
could
feel
be
like
Minnesota. It could be Minnesota.
yeah,
I mean,
I feel
you go
like that might
you
be
go to
the
4
case.
Super Bowls in your history and you never win one.
Mhm.
You have Randy Moss and Randall Cunningham at their elite level, and you lose in the AFC in the NFC Championship game. Like it could just be Minnesota. Send him to New York. Send him to the Jets. I get it,
See what he
albeit
can
a 1
do.
year. See what he
Yeah.
can do on a good team that has weapons like I mean, I don't think Garrett Wilson's better than Justin Jefferson, but I
No.
think I mean you have good receivers there. You have a
Yeah.
good core there.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Absolutely
Yeah.
with you on that. Now here's the real game. This is the battle for the number one pick, in my opinion. Everyone thought it was going to be Arizona. I think Arizona is just a better football team than Denver and Chicago. This is probably the hardest game to pick. But I'm going to go with Denver. I think Denver is going to get the win here. Russell Wilson's just more of a competent quarterback right now for whatever the reasons are. More competent and more able to do the job than Justin Fields is. Um, so I'm gonna go with Denver.
No, I'm with you. I'm gonna go with Denver too. I just don't know what's going on in Chicago. I just don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what they're doing. Is it
Hmm.
Justin Fields? Is it coaching? What is it? But it's just not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No.
so
Yeah.
I think Russell, you in a game like this, where it's two 0-3 teams, both of them are terrible. I'm taking the team with the better quarterback, and that's Russell
Yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah. Here's the next game. I think we might disagree on this one. Baltimore versus Cleveland. Cleveland. They they put a pounding on Tennessee last week.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson. I think I need to just start talking more, like start trashing on Deshaun Watson more, because after I said what I said about him last week, he came up and showed us that he still has some of that Houston Deshaun Watson left in him. But do you think it lasts?
I think it gets better with time. I do think it gets better with time. I think he has good weapons. He has a run game, which will always help.
Mm-hmm.
And at this moment in time, they have the number one defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They lead the league in yards allowed. And so for a guy who's proven he can be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league,
Mm-hmm.
getting back to form, can rely on a run game because it just feels like whoever they get to run the football is going to have success.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Amari Cooper,
Yeah.
who's always going to give you an option,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I for me, I think it can last based on what they have around him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting them to be better.
Do you expect them to win this game against
I do.
Baltimore?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I can't. I'm going to go with Baltimore. They struggled last week against Indianapolis. They lost. But there was a team last year who lost early in the season to Indianapolis. That was the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, am I saying that the Baltimore Ravens are on par or anywhere remotely close to the Kansas City Chiefs? No. But every week there's something different going on. Lamar, you just got a huge contract. Okay. Throw the ball to Zay Flowers more. Fantasy wise, that would help me. But
Mhm.
I also think that, Deshaun had one great week. I need you to do it for a stretch before I'm able to believe in you again. Because you've put a stretch of bad games together. So I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think that they're going to win this game. Not win it convincingly, because like you said, they have a really good defense. But I like what I still am a believer in Baltimore and what they can do. Um, but yeah, next game: Pittsburgh versus Houston. Steelers, they got a really good defense. TJ Watts is a stud.
Yeah, I mean,
6 sacks in three weeks.
right.
The question is, which offense is going to be
Yeah.
better?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. This is a really weird game, and I know we may sound crazy. You guys might think that we're crazy for talking in this way about Houston, but offensively, like CJ's put it on the last 2 weeks. I mean, over 300 yards passing in both games. And Pittsburgh's offense isn't impressive. I'm sorry, they're just not.
They
Like
have flashes here and there, but for the most part, they're pretty mid and they
I
don't do anything.
so I think that
I'm with you.
Houston I think this is going to be a low scoring game.
Yeah, I agree.
Um
I'm with you. I just like Houston's offense more.
yeah.
And Houston's defense is not bad. They're ranked like 14th or 15th in the league.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be enough for them to pull this out.
Wow.
But
Okay.
crazy that we're talking about Houston like this again.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm going to go Pittsburgh though.
I'm going to
I'm
take
I'm
Houston.
gonna I'm gonna roll with Pittsburgh. I could be wrong. And honestly, like as much as I want to win Pick'em, I hope I'm wrong because if Houston can, I don't know. I'm with CJ Stroud. I want him to do well. I want him to be productive. I want him to win games. So I think Pittsburgh's gonna win, but I want Houston to win. If I'm gonna say, I'll say it like that. Uh, the Rams versus the Colts. After their Week 1 dominance, the Rams don't look as good. But the Colts, I mean, the Colts are impressive actually. I mean, they've played well. They've beaten good teams. The thing is do you know if Anthony Richardson is healthy? Is he going to be there or is Gardner Minshew going to play?
Let me look into that. You keep going while I find that out.
I mean, it says a day ago that he returned to practice to start week 4.
Mm.
And then he practiced full again, so it looks like he is going to play against the Rams. Um Dang, this is tough. I'm gonna go with the Rams. I'm gonna go with the Rams. I No, I'm gonna go with Indy. I'm gonna go with Indianapolis. I think that they're gonna win this game. They're playing well. They look good.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna g- I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think right
Whoa.
now
Did you
their
even
D
listen to me? Did you hear what I said?
no. Well, I
Picking
thought you
Indy.
said oh, I thought you said Rams.
Oh, I switched. I switched back. I switched to Indy.
Okay. Okay.
Are you still
No,
going Rams?
I'm going Rams. Yeah, I
Okay.
just think their defense is better. They throw the ball a lot better,
Mhm.
and like Anthony Richardson coming off an injury, I just don't know how limited he'll be in terms of his mobility, and so I'm gonna pick the Rams.
Hmm. Next game, Tampa
This
versus
for
New
me, this is
Orleans.
tough.
Uh, to me, this is not tough. I'm going Tampa Bay. Derek Carr has a sprained AC joint and is week to week. And this offense wasn't looking great before that anyway. I think their defense is going to be tough, but I'm a believer in Baker Mayfield. I think that he'll make enough plays. He will make enough plays to be good. I get it. He struggled last week against the Eagles. One touchdown, one interception, only 146 yards passing. I get it. Actually, you know what? I talked myself out of it. I'm gonna go with New Orleans. I just think that their defense is gonna be. I think New Orleans' defense is better than Philadelphia's.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
and I think for me, what I'm
and
is they
Alvin
oh
Kamara is coming back this week too, so maybe
yeah,
their offense will be better, even if
yeah,
Jameis plays.
right, and I think and it's for me, it's more the history of, like, New Orleans just
Mhm.
has Tampa Bay's number. They
Yeah.
always have for the past couple years,
Mhm.
and like you said, like, if Jameis plays, Alvin Kamara's back,
Mhm.
for me, I think that's still good enough for them to win this game. As much as I love what Baker Mayfield is doing,
Mhm.
I just think New Orleans is just better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Next game, Washington versus the Eagles. I think the Eagles they win this one.
I do
I
too.
just Sam Howell 4 interceptions this
Yeah,
past week.
it's just tough.
It's
Just
hard to
tough.
believe that he could come back from that quickly, especially against Philly. So I think Philly wins because they have
Yeah.
an easy schedule and they're not
Mhm.
playing anybody. We need to
Mm.
get Jalen on the show because honestly,
Or
I
Steven.
or yeah,
Maybe both.
maybe both. Yeah, maybe both.
Yeah. I
Actually,
just wanna hear from I just wanna
we
hear
should bring
what
Steven. We need to bring Savage on
Yeah,
for
where's he been?
now we'll invite him. We'll see if he'll come for this upcoming week as we preview the 49ers Cowboys game because he
Be great.
previewed it last year and we can have him 2 weeks in a row just
Maybe
to
maybe get my guy Abe, who's, he's a 49ers fan.
yeah, we could do that. That sounds like a good idea to me.
See if he's
Okay,
open.
next game, Cincinnati versus Tennessee. I'm going to go Tennessee.
I am too. I just I just don't know. It it's just that come was it a comeback from Joe Burrow that he just did last week?
I have no idea. I didn't
I
watch
didn't
the game.
I didn't get a chance to finish that game.
Mhm. I mean, they won. They won the
Yeah.
game, 19-16. So
Again, I just think that I don't know, Tennessee's offense is just really, really bad,
they are really bad, but they're
but they're just as
well,
bad as Bengals are right now.
and I think that Venables is a better or Venables. Sorry, this is not college football.
Vrabel.
Vrabel is a better coach than Zach Taylor, and to me, that's what this game is going to come down to. It's going to come down to coaching. So I have Tennessee.
I'll take Tennessee as well. Yeah.
All right, then we have the Raiders versus the Chargers. Raiders are not a good football team. Can't even beat Pittsburgh. And you're going against a high-powered offense. Kellen Moore should have no problems front running in this game and blowing this team out.
Dang, you're just after people's heads today.
I'm not a believer in Kellen Moore. I think he was lucky to get away from Minnesota. He should have lost to Minnesota. If Minnesota would have been competent, they would have lost that game too. I'm sorry. The play calling late in the ball games is the very reason why he's not in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chargers too. I think the Raiders, Jimmy G's not that guy. And I have Josh Jacobs as my fantasy, and he's been disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, he's been disappointing. Yeah. Hopefully he can get healthy in this game.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. Next, America's Game of the Week. It's not official, and it probably isn't. But to me, this is the game of the week. It's New England versus the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott returning back to Arlington. I'm going to go with the Cowboys, obviously. I'm still a believer in this team. I think that the defense is going to bounce back. Hopefully, our offensive line is going to be healthy, and they'll be coming back in full force. I'm actually going to check that out right now just to see.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take Dallas as well. It's a home game. It's more of my belief, or my non-belief in Mac Jones, and maybe a little bit in Zeke Elliott too. What Dallas is really good at is flying to the ball, and to me, Zeke just doesn't have that speed for me. Because even James Conner, there was times where I'm like, oh my gosh, he's really quick. And so I think even if Zeke is able to get good blocking, his issue was with the same as Tony Pollard, with the same space, same line. He just wasn't able to get a burst. So that's what I think is going to happen in this game, based on what this defense can do, which is fly to the football. I'm still going to hold out hope for another week for this run defense, but I'm going to take Dallas.
Yeah, so it looks like Tyler Biadasz and Zach Martin, they returned to practice on Thursday. But Tyron Smith is still unhappy. And he's not playing again this week because he's missing practice and all that kind of stuff.
What do you mean he's not happy?
He's not happy. That's all they're saying. They're saying that he's not happy right now. Whether that's due to his injury, I'm assuming it's probably because of his injury.
Okay.
That he just can't seem to stay on the field. I think if it's for any other reason, I'm like, come on, dude. You can't be unhappy. We're unhappy because you're not playing consistently. But yeah, I'm going with Dallas in this game, regardless, because it looks like we're going to get Zach Martin back. It's just that left tackle position. If he's not there, if Tyron Smith's not there, it's a huge concern. It's a liability. 49ers versus Cardinals. Again, this is a pretty easy pick. Niners win.
Yeah, Niners all the way.
All right. Again, this one's another easy game.
Easy
Kansas
one.
City versus New York against the Jets. It's going to be Kansas City all the way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be – we're going to see another Kansas City route like they did last week against Chicago. Obviously, the defense is better, but they've proven that they're gettable. And when you don't have a quarterback who's just going to give the ball right back to, and the defense has to keep going onto the field, and it's going to be way too easy.
Yeah, and then for Monday Night Football to end the week, it's going to be Seattle versus New York. Geno Smith returning to New York. This is going to be a great game, but I think Seattle's going to win this game, and they're going to win it pretty convincingly.
I agree. I'm taking Seattle.
And that's going to do it for us here on Double Take an NFL podcast. Great show today. Lots to talk about. Can't wait to come back next week. talking about a Cowboys victory as always, and then we're going to talk about the rest of the news in the NFL and then our pick'ems for it. Hopefully we do better this week. But for Daniel, this is David for the podcast. Hope you guys have a great weekend watching football. God bless, and we'll see you guys next time.